Welcome to Zach D TV, the place for interesting news from around the net. In today's episode, we're going to take a look at the past. We have some archaeology and some paleontology. Today is the day of ologies. And if you want more interesting news like this 7 days a week, click the subscribe button right over here. That way you know when I upload something new. Alright, let's get into this. Let's start with the best preserved dinosaur fossil ever found. This is a 110 million year old nodosaur. They were herbivores, they weighed around 3,000 pounds, and they're closely related to the Ankylosaurus, probably the most famous type of this dinosaur. Well, this one was found in 2011 in the Suncor Millennium mines in Alberta, Canada. Those mines are used to mine something called oil sands, which is basically dirt with a very high oil content that they could process and get crude oil out of. And the area these mines are found in used to be 110 million years ago an inland sea. So finding fossils there isn't odd. It's not a rare thing. They find plenty like plesiosaurs and different ocean-faring remains from, like I said, 110 million years ago. But according to Donald Henderson, the curator of the Royal Tyrrell Museum, finding the remains of an armored dinosaur that was washed far out to sea was a huge surprise. And the fact that it was so well preserved was an even bigger surprise. And yes, if you look at this thing, it is preserved. Unlike a lot of fossils, it still has the meat on the bones. Now, of course, it's fossilized meat. You can't cut a steak off this thing. But usually the skin and muscles are gone, and you're just left with a skeleton. Not the case here. In fact, it is so well preserved, they were able to get pigments from the scales in order to properly color this dinosaur. Here's an artist's rendition of that. They found the critter was reddish brown, and was something called countershaded, where the top is darker than the underside. This is useful in a lot of prey animals because it helps offset the shadows being cast on the lower body in order to make the whole animal look more even colored. And that way it blends in the background more. What that suggests, though, is that these dinosaurs that were bigger than a pickup truck were commonly hunted. So commonly that, unlike rhinoceroses or elephants nowadays, which are a solid color, they had camouflage. That just shows you how savage this time was. Not a time I'd want to be alive. This specimen is currently on display, and you might say, Zach, it was found in 2011. What happened there? Well, it took them 7,000 hours to pull this from the surrounding rock. They had one man do all the work to extract this fossil from the rock, so that way it was done right. And that one man who put 5.5 years of his life into this one fossil is named Mark Mitchell. And that is where they've given this new species of dinosaur a name in honor of him. They're calling it the Barilopelta Mark Mitchelli, or Mark Michelli. I think Mark Michelli sounds better. Tell you what, since we're on paleontology, let's look at something that would have preyed on creatures like the Mark Michelli. We all know that Tyrannosaurus does not like high fives. He's also not a fan of push-ups. From what we've seen, he can run down a Jeep though. What if I told you that last one was wrong? Scientists at the University of Manchester School of Earth and Environmental Sciences, led by Professor William Sellers, put together a biomechanical model in a computer simulation of a full-grown Tyrannosaurus Rex. And using this model, they found that the T-Rex could not be nearly as fast as formerly thought. We used to think it could achieve speeds up to about 45 miles an hour. Way too fast for what this dinosaur could actually do. This model was able to help them figure out not only how fast he could run, but also the load stresses on the dinosaur's bones. And they say that a young T-Rex could move pretty quickly, but as he got older and up to his full weight, he would not be able to do anything more than a walk because of how much stress would be put on his bones. If he were to run, he'd break his leg. This would explain why they've never found running T-Rex footprints. They found walking ones all over. They haven't found any that were in an extended gait like a run. Come up with the fastest this thing could move is about 17 miles an hour, which is still quick enough that it'd be able to catch me. So I don't care if it's 17 or 45 miles an hour, I'm done. The beauty of this research, though, is not just that it exposes how the T-Rex was able to move. It also kind of gives you a baseline for other biped dinosaurs. They can either go up from here or down and figure out different movement. This will allow them to figure out things like hunting or scavenging, ranges of their territory, and may shed light on some other facts about the Tyrannosaurus that I don't even think of talking about right now. And finally, let's move forward to a closer to modern era, but still a long, long time ago. I love when we find something that just throws a wrench in what we thought we knew about our world. And this next one definitely does that. This bracelet, found back in 2008 in Russia, is attributed to a branch of early humans known as Denisovians. They're named after a cave where a lot of their remains have been found, where a hermit used to live, and they're actually named after that hermit. Recently, this bracelet was put on display in an exhibit in France. It was listed as being 50,000 years old, which is a long time ago, but still within the realm of reason for it. But researchers in Russia believe this bracelet is actually about 70,000 years old, which you might think, wow, what's the big deal, another 20,000 years? The difference is, we didn't think that any humanoid ancestors of ours had the ability to craft items like this that far back. Looking at the bracelet, you could tell it's well sculpted, and it even has a drill hole in it. They figure this was made by an actual drilling or rasp type device. They found that the speed and rotation of this drill would have had to have been relatively high and steady. They say that the ancient master was skilled in techniques previously not characteristic for the Paleolithic era, such as drilling with an implement, boring tool or type of a rasp, grinding and polishing with leather and skins of various degrees of tanning. They actually buffed and polished this bracelet. Scientists figure the hole in the bracelet was used to put a leather strap through with some kind of charm or bauble hanging off of it. And in the long run, this finding suggests that Denisovians were more advanced than Homo sapien or Neanderthal of the same time period. They do also state that Denisovians did not completely die out. They're not like an extinct race. You can still find their DNA markers in humans all over the globe, but this does change our entire perception of the way we evolved. They are going to get together with researchers from Oxford and the Wollongong University of Australia to take a better look at these findings and really verify that this is what they're seeing. They're not making an official announcement on this yet, but I thought it was something I'd bring to you because it is pretty exciting news. I'll tell you what, one day I want to do a whole episode based on all these different things that we found that just don't match what we believe has happened on the Earth. And on that note, I'm going to wrap it up. Thanks for stopping in. I do this 7 days a week with a live stream on Saturday and a short on Sunday, so I hope to see you here again. And until next time, have fun and be safe.